Hello and welcome back. Jan Roberts here from Key Leadership Institute. And yet, here is our next value. And this is going to be the value of understanding people. And yes, people of value value people. But how can we value them better when we start to understand them better? See, I always, as a behavior analysis consultant and trainer, I also talk about we need to learn to understand ourselves first, because we can't give what we haven't got. So the value of understanding people is very powerful. When we learn to understand ourselves better and start to practice this, we can see those kind of things and how other people, how we can understand them better as well. But this value again is an equally powerful one as all the others. And there is a quote by my friend and mentor John Maxwell, which says, "Knowing what people need and want is the key to understanding them. And if you can understand them, you can influence them in a positive way." Now that is powerful all by itself. So, because as a leadership consultant, I use John Maxwell's quote as well: leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And people say to me, well, how do you get influence? That's another value we'll talk about. How do you get influence? With people, not over people. Build better relationships. How do you build better relationships? Well, by asking better questions. And how can you ask better questions? By listening more intently to other people. We've had the value of listening. We're going to have the value of influence. And this is all about understanding people. The more we understand people, the better questions we can ask. The more if we listen to them more, we learn to understand them better, and we can build better relationships. See, that's all, it goes back and forth and in and out, but you can see that understanding people is all about how we can, when we understand them, we can influence them in a positive way. See, this is not about manipulation. That's totally different. This is positive influence we're talking about. So understanding people is one of the greatest attributes we could ever possess. See, it requires using our emotions as well as our intellect. Listening from the heart while using our head. Now, how powerful is that? We need to listen from the heart. We talk about resolving conflict in our previous value. A few values ago, we talked about resolving conflict. We're going to talk about confrontation very shortly as well. But how much better can we deal with people? How much less confrontation will we have? How much less conflict we need to resolve if we understand people, if we learn to respect them more as well, because we need to respect others if we want to respect back as well. See, the ability to understand people affects every area of our life. Family, work, and friends, because it involves communication with others. There is an old saying, and it says, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is really what it's all about. See, again, we need to be interested in other people before we try to be interesting. And for that to happen, we need to listen much more than we talk. You know the thing, 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them accordingly, but it is so true. And that's how we learn to understand people. We don't learn to understand people by talking to them or talking at them, even worse. And in speaking, I also said as well, when we have speaking engagement as a keynote speaker, we need to speak with people. Don't ever speak at people, because that doesn't do any good. That doesn't build any relationships. That's sometimes even arrogant or aloof. But make an effort to understand others in a way that shows that we care, and we will often change the way they feel about us. See, I've mentioned this before. When I speak my truth, and it's my truth, it's not for them to come over to my truth. It's for me just to give another side to the story, and then they can choose. I don't care how you choose what you want, but you need to have a valued, make a valued opinion and an informed choice. I was actually looking for, and you can't make an informed choice when you've only got one side. When the other side is being kept away from you, I come with that side. I happen to believe in that side, but that's irrelevant. But in that process, I've been called quite a few names, but I've never gone down to their level and called them names back, which is easily done. The value of restraint comes in that. And I also use the value of listening, but I don't have to use the value of forgiveness quite as much, because I use that restraint, and also I know that I want to understand you, and I understand that you're upset because you believe something different and you want to be right. Maybe you think you're right. I don't care whether I'm right or not. I just want to share with you. So why would you call me names? But I don't do it, and sometimes we manage to lead them to at least change their opinion of us, not of what we said, but sometimes we can have beautiful discussions afterwards. And I've had people apologizing. I don't need an apology. I would rather that people don't call each other names. So you need to lift people up as leaders as well. You need to lift people up to your level. But unless you are improving every day, what are you lifting them up to? Are you actually lifting them, or are you dragging them down? Great question to ask for yourself. But understanding people, if we are in business, it is so important to understand people, as we can better serve, manage, and lead them. And that's very important. Again, but influence is everything, and you got all that already. But this is so powerful in life as well. It's not only in business, but especially in business. If we want to serve, manage, and lead people better, and we probably deal with people, whether it's over the internet or in person still, we need to learn to understand people, because when we build better relationships, we build better businesses, we build better leadership. It all go hand in hand as well. But every person has at least 4 basic needs: to be appreciated, to experience a sense of achievement, to have a sense of belonging, and to feel secure. They're all some of it at the very bottom of the Maslow's pyramid as well. But there is so much to say about these. But these are basic needs. These are not, nice to have. Basic needs. So we should keep these in mind in all our dealings with people. And I hope that makes some sense. And again, you already know what's coming. There's going to be 2 benefits, 2 characteristics, and 2 steps to follow. And the first benefit of understanding people is that you will become a person of influence and have the opportunity to motivate others and affect them positively. And that affects their attitude as well. Remember the value of attitude, to be more positive. You actually help other people to become more positive as well, because when they know that you care, that is so important. When they know you care because you understand them, you will save lives, because being alone is not a problem. And many people are alone at the moment, but being lonely, you can be lonely in a crowd, but you very rarely see it. And people take their own lives because they can't connect with people anymore. But when we understand them and connect with people, the value of connection was the very first one. But when we can connect with people on a heart level, and if we can't do it in person, we can use this medium to do so. Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp calls, messenger calls, all these kind of things are available to us now, and we need to use them as much as possible when we can't reach out and touch them and hug them. There's so much power in hugging as well. I did an article about this, and I also talked about it in my self-care series. But the second benefit is that you will be able to effectively communicate with others. This will save you from a lot of unnecessary conflicts and bring more peace in your environment. How powerful is that? What is that benefit alone not worth it? So I talked about resolving conflict, and I'm going to talk about confrontation as well. But when you understand people and you learn actively and try to understand them, you might not agree. I'm not talking about you agree with them, actively understand them. Then you are in control of you and of the discussion and the conversation. And you don't have to join every battle you see coming across. But sometimes when you have to be in a situation, then you can actually become much calmer. Your environment calms down when you calm from the inside. I said this already, and I don't know if at this time, but when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do no harm. So when you become mindful of yourself, and when you learn to calm down, people around you will calm down, because that energy is very good, very positive. Rather than this, you know, people who are angry and annoyed, and you can see them, you can feel it. So they can feel you too. So when you are calm and pleasant, and you do your best to understand other people, they know you care. And some characteristics of a person who understands people is that these people try to see things from another's point of view. They ask questions and empathize with others in order to assemble a clear picture of what the other person is experiencing and thinking. Is that not what Stephen? Don't you hear Stephen Covey in the back of your mind now? As I see it, say it quite often, because there's so many values that are entwined in this. Try to understand before being understood. This really explains that beautifully. And people who, with characteristics of understanding people, do this very well. The second one is, these people have a forgiving attitude because they understand why people do what they do. See, this understanding enables them to more easily forgive others' mistakes and indiscretions. I don't say forget, but forgive. And these people are, again, the value of forgiving comes into this. See how they all intertwine. But we need to forgive ourselves first and foremost before we can forgive others. But when we forgive others, do it with an open heart and with an understanding. But these people are good at it. So if you want to get some of this and learn to understand other people better, maybe even in your own family, maybe in your friend circle, maybe at work, then these are 2 steps you can follow. Again, it is so important to take action on this kind of stuff, because knowing it doesn't do anything. We need to act upon it. So some action steps is, the first one is look at situations from the other person's point of view. Again, we're talking Stephen Covey here. Make a commitment to ask questions and listen to their answers until you can have a clear picture of what they are seeing and why they are seeing it in that way. That talks about this whole Stephen Covey understand before being understood thing, but it's something that we can all practice, and that's a good thing. And that's by listening and asking questions and look at the other person. Walk in the other person's shoes. That's also talks into this. You've heard about this, all this kind of stuff. Now it's time to start practicing this, in all honesty and all seriousness. And the second one is, remember that every person has the desire and the need to be valued and appreciated. So recognize that and respect the unique qualities of those in your environment. So for people to be valued and appreciated is really necessary. Everybody craves that, Attention. They say babies cry for it, grown men die for it. This attention and to be valued and to be cared for. It is so important. So practice these kind of things. And because my question now is, of course, what action will you take today or tomorrow, if it's late on, to start getting better at understanding people? It might be in your family. It might be in your friend circle. It might be at work tomorrow. What will you do? When will you do it? Who will you do it with? Write that down, take action, and share this with people. On Facebook, I always ask, when I do these kind of things, like and share this, but share your successes, not for me. I'm only a messenger, but I love these values. I've done so for 8 years already. But so other people can see that when you take action, things are improving. So they can take action too. So it's motivation, it's an inspiration for other people. Talk about this, share this with people. And I hope that you got something out of this value of understanding people. And I will see you in the next value. Take care.